sorry. Peace. Peace, everyone.
Peace.
Welcome to Shema. It's not evening yet, but we are moving into the evening. So just an early Shabbat Shalom, opening the space, giving thanks and all praise and honor to the Most High Yah, bringing us through another 6 days. It's a little crazy, y'all. At least on this end. How are you? How was yours, Precious?
It was a little,
A
a little
little,
something, a
a
little
little
something.
something. Okay. Well, we
We're
going
here.
to rest, so it's much needed and much appreciated. Also, giving thanks to Chief Yuya, the Chief Jegna of Anu, the Anu Nation, and the Anu Life Global Ministries movement. This is a movement. Thank you for allowing us to use the space. Give thanks. Toda Rabba, Chief Yuya. Welcome to everyone in the chat. I'm just like looking over. Welcome. I just not get confused. Should we use the screen names or should we call out people's governments? I don't know. I'll use the screen names. Greetings, Ipako Bahamas. Greetings, Sister Kashia. Greetings, Brother Antonio. So if your name is on there, I'm going to read your name. If it's not, I'm going to read the screen name. That's what we're going to try. If you want to know who people are, maybe you can go in the archives.
Right. I'm like,
Figure it out.
go back.
So greetings, everyone. We are here with another Shema. Before we get started, Ima Precious, will you grace us with the preface? Precious with the preface.
My pleasure. So this book is not to be read only once. Read the words of this book of knowledge and wisdom out loud. Discuss the convictions of this work with your Anu brothers and sisters. Share this information with your people. This publication should be read daily. Every line in this book can be taken out of context and studied on the strength of its own potential. The truth is to be deliberated.
One more time for the people in the back.
I was gonna beat you and just give it 2 times, but I like to wait for the invitation. The truth is to be deliberated.
All right. So previously on Shema Anu, we are in the section of betrothal. The brothers went over betrothal, and they talked about they went further into what that separation period is. And guess what, y'all? We still in family. Betrothal is a part of family because it's that second stage before that it's that 3-part stages. There's the courtship, betrothal, and then marriage. And that's how you get towards that's the movement towards the family part. You haven't reached there just because you've reach those 3 stages. There's another stage that you have to get to before you can consider yourself like in a. So, but we're not going to jump the gun. You'll find out when we get there, so stay tuned. So this evening, we are still in betrothal, still under family, and as the thumbnail pointed out, we are going to be talking about the actual betrothal ceremony. So we do have a question prepared for you. I think we have 2 questions. Do we have 2? I have to go back and look.
May.
So we might have 2 questions,
Yeah.
and as usual, we might just go with the flow and figure out some questions. But we are here to deliberate. So we'll ask questions of you that we may not have the answers to. We'll just build on it, right? So, Ima Precious, will you give us the reading for this evening?
Sure. After a courtship that has agreed towards union, there must be a betrothal ceremony. A betrothal is a rites of passage. When this is done, the man and woman pledge their commitment to wed one another on a specific date. The betrothal rite provides an opening for the families of the 2 parties to gather together as witnesses, but also to strengthen the bonds between themselves. So it's brief. So I'm actually going to read it again because while it is only 4 sentences, I think that there is a lot in those 4 sentences. So it says, after a courtship that has agreed towards union, there must be a betrothal ceremony.
Okay.
So you're not going to just.
Dot. Yeah, because there's more to come after that. Next strong though. We're gonna stick with
Mhm.
these 4 sentences, and we're gonna chew on this for a while. So
Mhm.
before we go any further, I'll just like acknowledge the chat. Shalom, mishpachot anu, erev tov. So peace, family, and good evening. Good evening, Sovereign Needs. Sister Naya, peace. Thank you for joining us. Good evening, Sister Munira. How are you? Shalom, everyone. So let's start with this first sentence. Can everyone hear me okay? Because I know I'm usually like a little bit low. So let me know if I need to like scream to the top of my lungs and we'll get it out. I know like Precious can hear me, but I think I don't know if it comes across properly on this the screen. Okay. So after a courtship that has agreed towards union, there must be a betrothal ceremony. So when I first thought about this, I was like, betrothal ceremony. I remember what we learned in the very beginning of this section on betrothal, that this period is would be considered an engagement. So I was like, oh, so like an engagement party, right? But when you hear the word ceremony, ceremony and party are not synonymous necessarily. We like to use them in that way, but ceremony um it is much more like a ritual, and that's what we hear in the next sentence, rite of passage, right? So but I had no other thing to, and I've never been engaged, so I had no other anything to compare it to kind of figure out. But what I did think about was like, okay, well, they've agreed to be betrothed, and this is following that period of separation, so we're going to have a ceremony to like honor that, right? And so it made me think about like, does that happen like in engagement parties? Like, and I've been to them, of course, but not really. It's just come, let's eat, give us gifts, and then go home. So immediately I realized that this is much more sacred than just a random engagement party. And so the chat is already busy. So I'm gonna go right to it because we have a habit of being behind the chat. So I'm gonna go right to it. Greetings, Chief Yuya. Greetings, top tier speakers. Greetings, Sister Sherla. Chief Yuya says betrothal is not union. The ceremony is to honor our culture and hold ourselves accountable in front of people who care for our mission, purpose, and holistic welfare. Give thanks for that, because I stopped short of, well, wouldn't this be the wedding ceremony too? So, and it was like, no, it doesn't say that. It is, and even as you go further into this small passage, it doesn't say that, there's nothing that says it's closest, the wedding, right? Or a marriage ceremony. But I think, I was doing that, oh, ceremony, so I wanted to correlate it with everything else that I have, that I'm pulling from that Western world space. I was like, oh, okay, that's what it is. Even the correlation to the engagement party. But then what I had to do was stop and think about like why it's not an engagement party, right? So I'm going to put up the first question. It's going to scroll across the bottom. And while I scroll across the bottom, Ima Precious, if you have anything to
Sure.
share. So the
Yes.
question is,
Mhm.
I'm sorry. The question is, how is the betrothal ceremony different from an engagement party? So for those of you who have read The Anu Way, share, the truth is to be deliberated, and we are here like building on what it actually is. So it's not saying that it is, but let's see if we can point out the differences. So, Ima Precious?
Yeah. So I know you read the chief's final comment, but there was one prior to that where he says courtship does not equate to union. Union in this context is sex. The ceremony is not union. So I wanted to kind of add that in. Um, what I thought was really kind of like the reason that I wanted to read that first line again as we go through is because it's saying after a courtship that has agreed towards union. So again, I know we've been in family for a while and we've actually, gone through the courtship phases and the process therein for a substantial amount of time. I want to go back to the very beginning of the purpose of courtship within Anu, right? Which ultimately is to take an opportunity to know your fellow Anu brother or sister. And so it's not synonymous with union or sex, as Chief is making the distinction here. But following that courtship, you then make a decision based on all of the evidence being presented to the court, right? And remember, it's from an unbiased perspective. So we're not giving gifts and we're not giving cookies or goodies or food of any sort. Any sort. You come to an agreement that this is where we're not headed. We're headed towards a union. And then I thought it was interesting that it says there must be a betrothal ceremony. So that's requisite, right? And just the idea of that ceremony just made me think of rituals and community and how important it is. So I thought it was really befitting that the next line says a betrothal is a rites of passage. Um, and it wasn't just Sister Deidre that was like stuck, right? When we're thinking about, well, how do we want to dissect this? What angle do we want to come from? The only thing that we both had was the idea of an engagement, but we recognize that an engagement is so not what this is, but traditional engagement that you'd be familiar with. But what we, at least, I'll speak for myself, I only experienced, well, as a youngster, I didn't experience any rites of passage. And so to understand that a betrothal is a rite of passage, you have to kind of wonder, well, then what is an engagement? And how different is this betrothal experience and the betrothal ceremony from an engagement? And really, of course, this is for Anu and those considering, being a part of Anu. Know the difference, recognize the difference. So if you've experienced an engagement, was that a rite of passage? It could have been. It could have been in some sense if there was a systematic exposure to a thing and preparation for that thing, and then a ceremony. I'll just leave it at that. A ceremony that follows that is present, that where you're presented before your family and friends, and most importantly, Yah, right? That is, I won't say that that's a foundation for a rite of passage, but that's some of the pieces that would lead to what one would call a rite of passage. Or sometimes it's just life experiences, but ultimately you're getting something that's propelling you forward through that experience. That's what I wanted to say.
We need a better question.
Who say that?
Okay, so we have some answers. Um, GPS says ceremony connects us to celestial energy, similar to ritual. Give thanks, because that's where my head was going. I was like, it's more sacred, right?
Yes.
And GPR also says that's the question for this Sabat. Okay, so we'll think of a different question as we go forward.
No. Have another one. It's coming. It's coming.
I didn't write it down, so we don't.
Don't tell. Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm just being honest. That's the required quality.
He's on.
Okay.
Wait.
Um,
Wait. Which way do I point? Go ahead.
anyway. Brother Antonio says, I'm not familiar with engagement parties. And, sometimes I wonder, is that something that just women tend to go to?
No, that's not. No, the couple and their people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. It seems like, mostly women like to show up to those things. No? I haven't been to that many.
So here's a question. Regarding rites of passage and ceremony, considering we're all new coming into this experience, how do you envision your betrothal ceremony? Those of us, we have, that's why I
Yeah,
say it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. I felt it.
up on the board.
Go and type that out. You had that in your notes, right? Um,
Yes.
um,
Time.
so considering, we I knew, and Chief, even in the his discussion, his presentation last Sabbath, we are considering, some of us exploring and considering, courtship. And so in that process, there is a lot of, you have to see things first, right, in order to manifest it. So how are you envisioning your betrothal ceremony? Since it is a rite of passage, what does that look like to you? And yeah, let's just leave it there. What does that look like?
Yeah, that's a good one. What does that betrothal ceremony look like to you? And see how much we secular world. Because remember what she
Chief,
said is
you don't have to tell everything, okay? He could tell us a question on the fly. That's your fault.
I'm sorry. Okay. Oh my goodness. Oh, we're behind already. Okay. Um. Okay, we're so behind. So, as you think about this question, so you know what? When you said that word envision, it made me think about the vision, right? Which we went over like months ago at this point, and we went over the list of what we envision as our new. So come from that mindset when you're thinking about your answer for this question. Come from that mindset of vision, right? And remember what you said. Ceremony connects us to celestial energies, similar to ritual. And what do we know about ritual? Without community, without no, I'm saying it.
Without ritual, there is no
There's
community.
no community.
Mhm.
Think about that. So she also says, which also means you could technically court multiple people at once. I do not recommend this for women. For men, this is an advanced technique done by a that can only be successfully done by a small few. So thoughts on those questions, on that comment as well. Before, so we right now we're on the first two sentences. You know, there must be a betrothal ceremony and a betrothal being a rite of passage. So with that comment, I would say, the floor is open as it always is for people to, share on that. It can only be done by a small few. And of course, like, we talked about this before, I knew as a patriarchy. So no, women are not going to be courting multiple people at once. That's too much. It's too much. It's too much.
Nor should we, you, I want to. When you think about and you understand what we are, right? Designed to be, and how fluid we are designed to be, and how susceptible, this glass of water is to pollutants, and how susceptible water is to the elements. I'll just say, you really don't want to be in a position where you're and you can't, right, within Anu, but you shouldn't want to, for those that are not Anu, court more than one individual.
You know what? Because just like you said, like we are water. You can't have too many. And what's that saying? You can't have too many chefs in the kitchen broiling the broth. It's too much.
Mm-hmm.
We are not set up like that. We might think we are. We're not set up like that. Men give direction. They give light. What do you think is going to happen when you have all this direction coming in from this, that? What's going to happen? You're
Confusion.
confused. You're going to be like the Scarecrow and Wizard of Oz. Do it that way. It's going to be insane. We can't. We can't do that. And while yes, our culture is going to be the same. If you are in our culture is shared, but each household is going to have its own vision on how it runs within that culture. So you
Right.
can't have, you know, direction coming from different directions. It's not
Right.
good for the mindset, If you're being told how one house is run, why you can't have at the same time, being kind of trained in a sense to run another household one at a time. One.
Mhm.
And this is very different. This is why we say we don't date. Whereas like people who are coming in from the secular world are, or the West, however you want to call it, non-woke, but whatever you want to call it.
Non-woke, would that be sleep?
Sleep. Most people, I'm still wiping crust out of my eyes. Like, we're deliberating. Um, this is that whole idea of dating. It's like you're moving at once. That's why it doesn't necessarily work out. It's too much at once,
Right.
and as Chief said, like it can only be successfully done for men. It can only be successfully done by a small few.
Right.
I was about to say something. How much ratchet stuff do we see online because people actually are not skilled at that, right? That's where that comes from, and also
Mhm.
lack of culture.
So, Sister Kashia says betrothal is a commitment to the Most High and to one's purpose when aiming towards union. More work is to be done. It is not over. Unlike, I don't know, unlike elements that really have no right to strengthen coming union.
Engagements.
Engagements. Okay.
Unlike engagement.
Yeah. See, thank you for filling in that blank. I'm not good with that. Engagements usually center on people who have already come together in almost every way. There is no real goal, just spending money, superficial. Yeah, I would
Mhm.
agree. There are, so she also says there are bridal parties and then there are engagement parties that include whomever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. That
It's
I would agree. Yeah.
it's the thing. It's you said it. About the engagements. Did we say that off camera? I can't remember. We
I
did
think
say it off camera. It's
which one?
the it'll come back to me. I forgot.
Okay.
It'll come back to me.
Okay. So Chief Yuya says engagement is similar to betrothal in that it marks the intention of union. That's interesting because if union is ultimately sex, most have already done that prior to an engagement, right? So that you remember?
I remember it. That's exactly what it was. When we talked about this before, you kind of stumble in, right? So most people are getting engaged. They kind of stumbled into the engagement because they're like, "Oh, I guess this is what we're supposed to do next," but they really didn't get to know one another. And there was something else I want to add to that, but I'll wait till we get to that. Well, we're there actually. We're at that next sentence, but we can catch up in the chat, and then I'll finish that thought.
Okay. So Chief's next comment is there's nothing inherently wrong with engagement, but the commercialism of it sidelines from the responsibility explicitly outlined by betrothal. So yeah, so I mean that speaks for itself. And then I'm not going to read that next comment about us coming up with the question on the fly. And
Sister Manira says the
right.
engagement party is superficial and focused on the brag of look what I got. The man slash woman and the ring. I'm in alignment with betrothal being sacred and reserved to the alignment with Yah. These are awesome. Sister Kashia says a betrothal ceremony to me would definitely include the Anu community as witnesses and guidance to maintain integrity of our culture and the Most High. Lord Jesus, she done messed up my quote without. Oh.
I helped you. It's I help a sister.
I
That's
want
it.
to say,
Together
I wanted to
we
get to
had
the
it.
part so bad. Without ritual, there is no community.
Without community, there is nothing. But without community, there is nothing. So, you know.
Yeah, nothing but more chaos. Yes, when you have too,
That was when you were talking about too many directions,
yeah,
right?
right, too many
Too
direct.
many. cooks in that kitchen.
Take that however you want to take it, if you know what I mean. Because we talking about leading towards union. You
Yeah.
can't have that many directions. It'll mess you up all up in here.
Hmm.
We see evidence of that, right? All on the internet. Um, um, peace, brother Low. He says, peace, everyone. To answer the question, I see a betrothal ceremony like a formal setting with contract signing, like you see dignitaries do for treaties. Oh, that's interesting. I went well, because it can be it's dictated by each household. You know what that looks like. So if that's what yours looks like, then that's what it looks like.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know what you laughing at, Sister Manira. I don't know what you're talking about. I am laughing. Y'all still. Okay, I messed up the phrase. I'm sorry. I'm working from memory here. I don't have the books in front of me.
Don't feel bad.
A lot
They're,
of words in my
they're
head.
not here. They're not here on the Shema every other Yom Shish.
Shema. I mean,
You are
yeah.
every other. Yeah, they're not. So you got this. You got.
Yes, without ritual, there is no community. It is the ritual that binds individuals together and feeds those past standards so that they can become a new way. Culture always seeks to grow. And that's exactly, what it means. Like when we come, that's that last sentence, but so I won't skip ahead. So Sister Kashia says, find a place in a fluctuating
That's
world.
the rest of the. That's the rest
Oh,
of the quote from the 14 Keys. Yeah.
I see. Peace, Sister Imakuya. She says, would you be embarrassed to undergo a betrothal ceremony in the presence of people who disregard Anu culture? No, they might not. They probably won't even be invited. That's a good question. I guess that's a
No,
question.
I would definitely. I think because even not. I think even in the preface, right? And we read it, and at this point, it's kind of rote, right? But in the preface where it says, "Share this with your people," for some reason today it hit a little different for me. And it's like, you know what? Yeah, we discuss, right, among Anu men and women, but we share it with our people. So no, I wouldn't be at all embarrassed. It would actually be an honor to share it with my people because if I want my people to be my brethren and my sistren, then they need to know this is what we do. So yeah, I would invite them and expect for them to be there. That's my personal answer.
Okay, because I'm like,
And your answer is
like,
what's your answer?
no, because if there is a disregard, um, that means they are not seeing, right? They
Right.
don't see it, and that means they don't see the value in it. So if
Hmm.
you don't see the value in something that I'm doing and something, and then it is a ceremony, right? That is it's a ritual. Then I don't see the need to involve that energy within that space because it's tantamount. It's like having people who have been the snide comments or the slick comments all throughout while you're going through your shift and changing your life for the better, and then you say, okay, well, I'm doing this, and then they're sitting there the whole time like waiting for something to pop off, waiting for something to look off to them so that they can say something. So rather than even create that space and opportunity for you, we just will not be giving invitations. I mean,
You
that's
know,
where I'm at right now.
yeah, I want to challenge that though a little bit live because I, I'll just say I've been to many weddings,
Mhm.
right? Engagement parties where everybody's like, word, they getting married. All right. I'm gonna show up just to see. Right. You're laughing because you know it's true.
I've been to those though. I'm not gonna lie.
Right. So
Old,
I'm challenging what you're
that was
saying
old me.
because but there are times where you've been proven wrong. You know what you go to that and you recognize, you know what, this was beautiful. Okay, you know what? I get it. And guess what? And even if they don't get it, even if they come in snickering the same way they walked out, they it's still your sacred union. So I just wanted to offer that because it's like, you know what, yeah, that happens in the secular world too. It's like, what they doing? They having a special, what kind of ceremony? They'll make up some kind of ceremony and say this their new ritual. But you know what? There could be legitimacy to it because they're forming their union their way, just like you said to Brother Love, you know?
Okay,
So
well,
think about.
it depends on how snide your past comments have been.
Yes, okay. You're sending a message right now. Okay. Got it.
Moving on.
That. Right. Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
GPS says
he's giving good questions.
It is.
Since we didn't have any good ones.
Failed at the questions this
time. One time.
Would you feel the need to make your status known to anyone outside of Anu, as there are so many secretly Anu? So, you know, that's an interesting question, right? Because I think it depends on what the is. It like kind of come look at me, look at what I'm doing, just
no.
see, right? You know, or is it you want to be open about who you are and the culture that you follow? You know,
I think this question is literally saying, like, I imagine it would be easy for those that are secretly Anu to have an Anu betrothal ceremony with just Anu because I'm an Anu and it's a secret.
Okay.
So therefore, it's kind of like a follow-up to the first question. And so therefore, it's like, would you even share that this is your status, that you're betrothed, right? Because to even say, well, I'm betrothed to brother so-and-so outside of this community, even saying that identifies you. You have to qualify that statement. You have to say, it's like, what does that mean? Mm-hmm. Right? What does that mean? Because if you're not sharing this with your people and perhaps discussing it with them, they wouldn't really know. That's how I took the question. I see what you're saying as well. You know, are you sharing it just to show off, or
right,
you genuinely want to and be inclusive?
Right. And you know, this is, how do I say this? It's not to compare, but this is what we should be doing. And you know, these are still these people. There are cultures that practice this now. This is not archaic. It is not, you know. So that's why personally, I can only speak for me. I don't feel the need to be secret about, you know what I mean? Because it's like, this is what we should have been doing the whole time. Because guess what? The other stuff wasn't working.
It didn't work.
Find something that works. What's the problem? And maybe it's not that black and white for some people. And I don't know if it's black and white for me, but that's just that's how I see it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It for those of us who had, I don't know, maybe it's the glasses, but you kind of come to a point where it's like, no, I'm not mathematically inclined, but it wasn't adding up. And even my slow math self could figure out that these numbers, this formula wasn't adding up. So there must be something else, right? And that something else is Anu for me. Everybody isn't going to come to that product. Is that what you call an answer? They're not going to come to that answer, right?
Oh, and that.
I told you I ain't good with the math. It's the product.
Well, I guess it depends on what math you're doing. If you
the product, let me stop, because I don't want to embarrass myself in here. I'll leave that for secret.
That was multiplication. That's the product.
See, there you go. All right, fine. I'm up to multiplication. So yes.
Maybe it's the quotient.
It's not the quotient. That I do.
But if you're doing division, I mean, you are dividing yourself from the secular world, so maybe it's the quotient. You know, you're separating. or or subtraction. It's the answer. Whatever. Looking for the
The
answer.
answer. So the point is, it doesn't add up. Like to what you were saying. Um, Anyway, I'm gonna leave that one alone. Um, so Chief says those type of covenants are curses, as they are always third-party contracts with the beast. Even the sex is rarely a union between two, because the steering of those last one person.
Lost.
Oh, okay, those lost ones' personal demon. Yeah, because the steering of those lost ones' personal demons. Oh yeah, it's like you're just mixing your stuff up. Hmm. Okay, and Emma Aquia says she wouldn't be embarrassed. In fact, she'd want some to attend, to be a witness, and to see the beauty of it. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Let me clarify. I would love to have people attend, right? Um, and see that. But like I said, it's contingent upon your behavior prior to the invitation.
You want to say that one more time because you
It is
sent messages.
contingent upon your behavior prior to the invitation.
I'm gonna write that down.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, So Sovereign Eats says no, rites of passage is the key difference for me. Yeah, I agree. There is a shared cultural context and all parties have an understanding of the culture. At that point, the two should have gone through other rites. Yeah, that's true.
Bring
That's
sovereignty. And what do we know about rites of passage? Is that they're lifelong. It's a lifelong obligation that doesn't end even in death, right? So rites of passage, they stay with us, forever,
true.
ever, forever, ever.
Yes, I would agree. So let me read the next sentence. Should we do that?
Yeah. I think that's on me. Cause okay, and then we'll try to catch up. So when this is done, the man and woman pledge their commitment to wed one another on a specific date. And so, you know what? This brought me right back to the timeline when we talked about the timeline in courtship. And the timeline is important because you are setting the date, because you are creating intention around the betrothal. It's not just to like, okay, we're gonna get married and then it's 5 years later and now you have used that 5 years and then you realize you don't even like each other. You have the 5 year engagement. And it has happened. It is a real thing. It happens to people. It's a whole movie about it. The 5 year engagement. Of course they gave it the happy ending, at the end, but the truth is in real life, it probably don't happen like that. I've seen and heard of too many stories where it's like, there was never anything set and then what? Or it may not even be an engagement. Maybe just shacking up. And then you realize like this ain't gonna work. So now what? But you've been in union with that person for so long because you stumbled into something,
Mhm.
like Chief said earlier. You're what is it? You're just like steering each other's demons. I think I just made that up. I just
No, I
rearranged
think that's
the
what he
comment.
said. Well, a little bit, a little. I
I,
might have mixed it up. I might have mixed it up
I
too.
think that's accurate. I think you're just staring up each other's demons. Your
Literally,
get with
like
my
literally, when you
with
think about it.
demons, like that.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
So So that's what I've really thought of about like, that commitment to wed. It's being intentional about
Mhm.
and saying, no, this is what we're going to do. Because you've gone through this whole period of courtship that may have been 3 to 9 months. And now you're going through this betrothal. And it's good to set the date because the betrothal also, correction from last 2 Shemas ago when Sister Maksha and I were doing that, the betrothal does have a time period. It is also 3 to 9 months. It can be anywhere from that long. So if you are so at this point, you're over a year. You're at least you could be like a year and a half, like with courtship and betrothal. So yeah, things need to be set with intention because time is our most precious commodity, right? So we need to use it wisely.
Yeah. So potentially between courtship and betrothal, you could and the actual union, the marriage, you're looking at between 6 and 18 months, right? Essentially, if that math is right, which I think it is.
I think so, because you picking the shortest time for both. Yeah, 6 and 18 months.
Right. So Sovereign, do you want to read some of these books?
Yes, she says. Aquia said, "I wouldn't invite those who you described. No, I just ain't coming. He ain't coming."
Right.
Oops. Sovereign. Oh, Sovereignty says engagement parties are typically a hodgepodge of mixed ideals and cultures with no real
Look
standard.
what you did.
She says, if you don't wear your citizenship in the kingdom of Yah under the Moor of Anu, you'll hide the blessings of Anu, spouse, and ritual.
Hmm.
Most followers don't post Anu hashtags or content at minimum. It's very
Hmm.
true. Very true. And I even myself, like I have to remember to, post. Like I'll go through, you're scrolling and you like things, but I have to like consciously like, nope, let me do this or make sure I put like, our new hashtags in. And it's something that you do have to be intentional about. I understand like, if you don't go on social media like, a lot, but if you are on there a lot, it doesn't take much to put it. So if you're not, are you
Right.
secret? Are you secret?
Yeah.
You secret member?
Yeah, I'm one of those never on. And when I am, it's like days late. But I'm like, should I share? Anyway, yeah, I got to work on that. Hmm.
Why invite the profane into the sacred? That's what I'm talking about. Brother Lowe, now I'm talking about that exactly. Now I'm talking about
That is what you were saying.
why bring in someone who would not be committed to circulating love and support for the union or truly value the reality of a new family binding with the heavens?
Hmm.
Say it with a say it.
And
Top
we
tier speakers, what'd you say?
and we wrote it down.
Mm-hmm. Top tier speaker says in the betrothal section, it states these individuals are Anu members. So there has already been an exodus from secular environment and into the kingdom of Anu.
Give thanks.
Also says, what are some things that men and women would need to depart from in the secular in order to qualify for courtship? Oh, we got a question from top tier. So you heard it. Here's another question. What are some things that men and women would need to depart from in the secular world in order to qualify for courtship? So let's start thinking about
Mm.
what what those answers are. Brother Lowe said, I wouldn't be embarrassed because I wouldn't bring I wouldn't be embarrassed because I wouldn't bring no one to a space they could pollute. My egoic just wants one thing. Is we dancing or not? I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I was thinking about that. Like, I don't know. I mean, I guess if you want to.
Dancing.
I guess if you want to.
Wow.
But it's not. So it's remember it's sacred. It's not this. It's not a party
Dancing.
like that. You know.
Oh my. Oh my. Oh my. No, no dancing. No. I I would like to see a betrothal ceremony. I'm sure it's quite beauteous.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing like we're envisioning with dancing and such. So perhaps nah, brother Lowe.
That's close.
But to top tier speaker, it's so funny. I'm like, who's top tier speaker? And then I remembered, haha. Um, so I think that based on your quote and Chief's response to inviting, the question about why would we invite the profane to the sacred, I think that's something that I would need to depart from is expecting acceptance, because maybe perhaps that's why I would be open to inviting, but I guess I shouldn't. I you know,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm getting from this, that
Yeah.
perhaps I shouldn't. So yeah, maybe it's acceptance or expecting there to be some level of we agree or we will be there. And maybe that isn't what it sounds like y'all are saying. That isn't what one should want. Um,
I'm
yeah. But then would it mean that you're not, but then, like, then I'm wondering about the secret part. Like, then if folks do not invite their family or friends or whomever, I don't know, that are folks outside of Anu, then is it then just because they're profane? Like, are they all profane? I don't know. I have lots of questions about this. The idea of it, not inviting people.
well, I think
But I
maybe
get what you're saying, like the kind of people you're referring to, like naysayers and people who are actually not supportive. That's clear. Like how Emma Quia said, I would not invite those sort of people. But in general, um, I guess I'm not that clear. So I'm glad we're having this conversation live.
yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna skip real quick. Brother Lo says thanks. He just wanted to know. And Munira also says dancing can be sacred. Absolutely. But if we talking about the cha-cha slide, probably not. Even though I do like one. I do like it. But if we talking about, like
Can
there's some things that are sacred.
not the cha-cha?
No. No.
Somebody better do an Anu style line dance. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, well, maybe we can make one. I'm not volunteering. Okay. So Chief says, but would you want them to attend just so you continue to try to convince them to quit rebelling themselves into further destruction? Are you still trying to prove that what we do is beautiful? See, it's like at a point, when do you stop providing space, mental space for,
Okay, I see. So it's like if I'm trying to say, see,
yeah,
where it's at, like
not
we
easy.
popping, we got our own electric slide. Right. Okay. If it's
Yeah,
that, then okay, I
yeah.
get it. And I probably would because it's like I want y'all all in the kingdom.
It's
But you're
not
probably
easy.
not. But you're probably
It's
not.
not gonna be, but it's something that has to be done. That this sides have to be severed. Sister Shola says, I would want to keep it as clean as possible with the energy of what it is and what it is meant to me. So only our new members who share the culture and journey would be more inclined. Oh, be more inclined. And again, it doesn't mean that you don't invite, people who are not new, right? But again, is it coming from that look at me space, or I'm still trying to prove what I'm doing is righteous? It shouldn't come from that space. If they are genuinely supportive of you, even though they're not Anu, but they, are supportive of your culture and they understand and they're not derogatory or degrading in any way, I think they could, they could, you could show up, you could come. Um, Chief says, I'm with you, Shirley. The moment always falls to the lowest common denominator. Right. So if you bring, the ratchet in, ratchet gonna show his head. Um, Sovereignty said, I would only afford that opportunity to those who have already respected and have seen the value of Anu. If they have confusion before, then I think that would lower vibration of the ceremony. So nah. We're coming to, Chief says, we're coming to a time when weddings will happen on the run. Big, beautiful ceremonies are done in peacetime, which we are not in. Grab your woman, join a house, quick ceremony, and keep running. Grab your women. And I was looking, this is interesting because I was looking through the internet and I saw this story, and it was talking about, like, places have wedding season. Honestly, I guess wedding season here is like June. I don't know. But there's wedding season in Nigeria. I don't know when it is, but they were talking about how, with the relaxing of the shelter in place and all the quarantine rules and, social distance, not social distancing, but like just places opening up, that wedding season was able to kind of have a rebound in Nigeria. But they're also, and not just COVID, it was something else that did. There's, civil unrest in some areas. And so, people were kind of like, kind of locked down because people were being kidnapped and murdered and things like that. But I was just like, but it's not necessarily stopped. It's still going. So I thought it was interesting that it was like, yeah, wedding season is back on and popping. It's like, maybe you shouldn't do that, you know? So to Chief's point, it's like, grab your woman, join the house, quick ceremony, and keep it moving, you know? Now is not the time to be having these huge ceremony, spending all this money, and then what happens when we go on lockdown again? But you paying vendors off because you got bills now. You have bills that you didn't need to have, and you have to pay off vendors, and you don't have what you need to do to either shelter in place or go to a safe location. What happens now? So okay, we are almost caught up. the
Brother Antonio says, my betrothal ceremony would just be the community around to witness. If merrymaking ensues, then cool. But I've never been big on parties.
Aw, I like gatherings.
Yeah, I'm glad you said it because I'm like, I don't want to be the one to say something wrong again. But I'm like, dang.
I like it. I like it a lot. I like, but good gatherings, not, riotous, but, good, like, when
No raucous,
the
no raucous.
energy, right? Like, I like when people are having fun. I like to see people, like, enjoy themselves. I don't know. It's just a thing. I've had it since I was young. And once I cried when a party was over. It was just like, why is everybody going home? Because everybody was so happy and enjoying themselves, and I just broke into tears and people started leaving. I'm like, why are you disrupting the merrymaking? Yeah.
I have it's so not related. I'm gonna share. Well, you cried. Well, you just shared that. You cried. I remember being in the Caribbean and we were at a party, but it was like a family kind of gathering. I was a teenager at the time. And the next thing I knew, the light was like, it was kind of like dim, right? Because the kids were playing, but then the sun went down. And then family just came in, flicked the light, and was like, party done. Talk about cry. All I did was like,
Why?
we're having fun.
So much
Right.
fun.
Not related to betrothal ceremonies at all, but funny to me.
Right. But we're talking about like two families, opening the gateway to move in a little bit to the next sentence, like opening that gateway for two families. And as you said, Brother Antonio, if there's merrymaking, then cool. Then maybe that's a good indication of something that you can, get it together. Chief US says, for me, a concise courtship ceremony with a small few, a little food. We make the beast.
Keep reading. That's why I didn't read that.
And get to work. Let's not turn sacred union into opportunities for Disney fairy tale. It's a time of urgency. Okay. Okay. Sabrini says, what kind of dance are you thinking of? LOL. Oh my goodness. Because I think we can sing and dance and praise if appropriate. Yeah. Yeah. Why not? Yeah. Keep moving. I'm not particularly concerned with those outside of the kingdom unless I am instructed to be.
All right. I got my answer.
I don't know I don't know. I guess people are laughing.
We said so many silly things. Who knows what they're laughing at?
I'm glad. Sovereignty says the Anu way indicates that if our ancestors are not of this way or committed to building the kingdom of Anu, we owe them no tribute. Yup, it does say that. The same applies to the living.
That was a hard yup. That's what I'm gonna say, teacher.
Said what she said, because it's just going back. Yep, I said it. I said it. No.
You wrote it. Yeah.
Antonio said, Brother Antonio says, one of the things men and women would need to depart from it, and this is an answer to top tier. Sorry, we're not doing the government. To top tier's question, men and women would need to depart from is the mentality that we're just doing the conscious version of what the secular environment does, trying to conform to Western standards. Yeah, because there's a lot. I didn't come from like the what people, the conscious community. Right. So there's a lot of things that I don't know about what conscious people do. Like I was one of those people who would be like, or are you a hotepper? And now I understand like that is really disrespectful to say
Yeah.
that to someone. Um, but that's the mentality I was coming from. So I wouldn't even know like what the conscious version of the secular environment does. I know what Anu does. So, so yeah, all kin ain't kin. Top tier speakers. Agreed.
All right, Chief. It's clear. I didn't read the. Okay. Sorry.
Fish.
Sorry, I skipped ahead.
You want me to read that? I'll read it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
say it for the people in the back. I'll make it easier for some of you too. I'm not officiating any weddings with demons in the audience. Our lifestyle is not to be put on display. We've done that for far too many years.
All right.
If I had a mic, I would drop it.
Boom.
Boom. Ema Precious hilarious to me. The posse done. I think
I'm done. Flick. Go long. Bathe in bed. That's it.
She says,
Okay.
to drill it in for you resistant, family is Anu. Relatives are everyone else. Some are stuck in old world ritual and obligation. Get past it.
Thank you. Yeah.
They don't do ish. They dress up in costumes and pontificate. Oh, the conscious community. And pontificate while throwing water in
the seaside. And watermelon and flowers. Okay, sorry.
Oh man, I went to a thing in Coney Island a few years ago. I thought it was awesome, but I guess was that a conscious community thing? It's
What were they throwing?
To the ancestors. It's the
I know it. Yeah. Uh-huh. None of that. That's how I felt. I'm like, oh. That's how I felt about all these answers. Just the face you made over going to right. But I get it. Thank you. I'm glad I'm clear now.
Cruz Perez, Brother Cruz says, I see my ceremony as a sunrise ceremony on the eastern coastal side of my island, while we can still the full, I guess,
see the full
on
moon.
the night before with just our elders and our new family singing as loud as we can. Well, you have thought this out. I hope I get an
clearly
at the same time.
Get my ticket now.
Right. Sovereignty says, go over there. So
go on about your business.
Oh, did I read that
right? Over there.
So go on about your business.
I try to save you from not doing that accent. But you did it anyway.
Right. I know.
And Cruz Perez says, can't forget the drums. So there we go. All right.
You need the drums.
That's ritual, but no character work. Okay. Just hustle.
All right. I have walked into it many times. You take the next one.
All right. He was so after I said, throwing watermelon and flowers, polluting the ocean. He said lots of ritual, but no character work. Just hustlers. Well, just hustles. More hair products and twisted up copper jewelry with big rocks in the middle. Come out of her.
Like her, like come out of her. Like that.
Here.
Get out of here.
Like her, like down south. Yeah, I was trying to pre-read.
I
was skipping ahead. Right. No, I got to be prepared for what y'all don't want me to just my laugh is very screechy. Oh, Babylon, come out of her, aka Babylon. So not hot in hair, but actual her.
Oh, Babylon. Her.
We are to leave Babylon. Yes.
I'm like, come out of her? Like, come out of her? Yeah, come out of Babylon. Babylon is falling down.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. All right, so let's read this last sentence. The betrothal rite provides an opening for the families of the two parties to gather together as eyewitnesses, but also to strengthen the bond between themselves. You know what? it would seem as though I hadn't read that last line based on my previous comments, right? Because clearly, if I read and understood or understood this, the fact that it's about having those eyewitness that can strengthen the bond between the two that are entering into union, it pretty much answered the question that I was confused about. So I'm grateful to come full circle with my understanding.
Yeah.
I
I,
assume if I'm questioning it, there might be others, but I'm doing
you,
it live.
you know what? For a family that grows within Anu, this would translate to your blood family, right? If you
Right.
come up and you grow up, because remember, all throughout when we were talking about courtship, we talked about for someone coming who's grown and coming into our new, there's like some adjustments that have to be made, right?
Mhm.
But a lot of this is from the perspective of you growing up in our new, like, going through rites of passage, you are going through a courtship with, elders, or who would most likely be, in many cases, if you came up in Anu, be
Right.
family members, and they would, so your family, your Anu family would be equated, or to blood family. But for many of us here who have come in as adults, they're not the same. There's the Anu family, and then there's your blood relatives, right? But if you are coming up in Anu, then it will be a beautiful thing, because your
Mhm.
family will be present, like your extended Anu
Right.
family, as well as your blood relatives. And
Relative.
and I think for those of us who are coming in as adults and shifting our culture, right, and moving towards something that is righteous and bringing us closer to Yah, you there is that, like, I want my family to come with me, right? But that's that ego that we that part we have to let go of. You can't. This is for sovereignty. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. She says you can't lead him anywhere. I'm like, I got a whip, but the whip is the ego. The ego.
Yikes.
You can lead the horse to water, but if it don't want to drink, it's not going to drink, and that's fine. That's the path that horse, that person is going to take.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for the questions, everyone in the chat.
Yes, I think that's it. Okay, so we've caught up to the questions, to all the comments. Yes, give that. Okay, one more. Chief Yuya says, if you are an adult with a deficit of community, righteous family, and a mate, where would your standard even spring from?
That's
How dare you not run into a courtship as you are currently desolate? Denial is a great place to live if
it.
you can afford the rent. The price is barrenness. I think I skipped something there. But that's desolate, barrenness, lonely,
Right.
sitting up there by yourself.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And
So
there's a lot of
there.
denial. I'm happily single. Okay. I've heard someone said that in a clubhouse.
Yeah,
and someone who is happily single. Oh, okay.
you lie.
Okay. All right.
Right. Because
Maybe
we are
she.
not created to be alone, right? So
I don't think so. We were created to mirror the Elohim, and that does not mean single. And that's the truth. Ruth.
and everyone else. Apparently. She must be getting sleepy, y'all.
No, that's from Do the Right Thing.
I know what it's.
Oh, I'm like, no. Do the right thing. Right? Do the right thing. That's the
Do the
truth.
right thing. That's right. That's right. Well, give thanks. Yeah.
Give thanks for this build. Hopefully, we all learned something, because this was truly, because
I,
we came into this with questions like, and I was like, is it like an engagement party? It's like, and what about the family? It's an indicator of where we're at, right? Of where we're all at. I'm like, no, you ain't coming if you ain't been supportive,
right,
So
right, right.
we are
Yeah,
all
no, and yeah,
thanks. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so give thanks. It is, well, where I am. It is about 20 minutes before sunset, so I am going to start winding down to prep for Shabbat. So woefully, all of you are also winding down that external and prepping for your day of rest. And we will see the Anu members tomorrow for our Shabbat build at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. For those of you who are not Anu, you can visit www.anulifeglobal.org and learn all about what we do. You can download the Anu Way for free, 99, and also the other books written by Chief Yuya, Noir Mail, The Compass, Mind, Heart, Words, Solutions for Dysfunctional Families, The 14 Keys, and Grasping the Roots of Divine Power. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
That's everything. And then you can also make sure you hit that like button down below and like and subscribe. Also follow us on our other YouTube channels, Enlightenment and Transformation, where we have our members who do movie breakdowns. Videos are uploaded here on the ALGM channel for Fifth Shabbat, where we have our members present on those days, and Chief Yuya also uploads his Chief Insights on first seventh day or first Shabbat of the month. So make sure you're hitting the like button and subscribing, and hit the little bell so whenever we have a video, you'll be notified and you can be first in the chat. Let us know if you have any comments. If you're watching this video afterwards, put it down below. And we'll get to them as we can. We do acknowledge all comments, and I said acknowledge, not necessarily respond. If you're coming in wrong, if you're coming in crooked, don't expect energy. Just saying. So give thanks. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Peace.